1094.
Yeah, so فاسأل الذين يقرؤون الكتاب من قبلك, ask those who read the scriptures before you, من أهل التوراة والإنجيل كعبد الله بن سلام, from the people of the Torah and the Injil, like Abdullah bin Salam.
Ah, wait, pause there.
Yeah.
Right. So like Abdullah, what's his name?
Abdullah bin Salam.
Salam. Can I just call him
Abdullah bin Salam?
Abdullah bin Salam. Thank you, guys. So like Abdullah bin Salam.
Correct.
So he's just an example of what this looks like.
Right.
So he's talking in general. Ask those who've been reading the scripture before you, and like he did with Abdullah ibn Salam.
Yeah, because he recognized the Prophet Muhammad.
I got you. So he's an example of this coming into fruition.
Yeah,
so
he fits the criteria.
I get you, but so the point is that the verse is referring to the people of the book in general. Abdullah bin Salam is an example of this happening.
Why is he an example of it?
Because it happened in real time.
He's an example because he matches the criteria of those that can be referred to find the Prophet.
Because he was why? Because he was the people of the book.
No.
Yes.
Not every person of the people of the book will recognize Muhammad. However, only those who reverted will recognize Muhammad in this.
I got you, but you're missing my point. My point is that the reason why Abdullah bin Salam matches the criteria of someone he can go ask is because he's of the people of the book.
I'm not going to that's the only criteria. I'm saying there's another qualifier on top. Okay. The other qualifier is that they have to recognize Muhammad.
Okay, where do you get the okay, hold on.
Can I explain to you?
No.
What he's saying.
I know.
What he's saying. Shut up! What he's saying.
I know.
Who apply and accept that the prophet criteria is the prophet of God.
I got you. Okay. So can you say it's reasonable that it's referring to the people of the book in general, and the people who took this seriously, they would end up believing Muhammad's a prophet, right?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so it's referring to the people of the book in general. And when the people of the book in general check their scriptures affirm and verify Muhammad's a prophet.
Yes.
Okay, if the scriptures doesn't affirm that Muhammad's a prophet, they can judge that Muhammad's a false prophet, right?
Sure.
So what's the judge of Muhammad's prophethood? Is it the Quran or the previous scriptures?
It depends on who you're speaking to. Yo, you gotta let it down quick, right? If you're referring to someone who's the only binding scripture upon them is going to be the biblical narrative, then sure, we can go there. However, generally speaking, we can affirm Muhammad's prophethood without needing to appeal to the Bible. We don't need to appeal to the Bible.
I didn't ask that. I know that you have your ways of that you believe in Muhammad outside the Bible.
Sure.
But specifically, the Quran points to the Bible as a proof for Muhammad's prophethood.
Sure. Does that entail absolute lying?
Of course it does. So why is everybody jumping in? He's doing good. Guys, this brother's doing good. All right, he's in the.
You can jump in next, man.
Surah Yunus 1094 stands as one of the most fragile points in the entire structure of Islamic theology, because this single verse exposes a fundamental weakness. The Qur'an does not function as a self-sufficient, autonomous revelation. Instead of standing on its own authority, the Qur'an suspends its legitimacy on an external source, namely the people of the book and their scriptures. And this is already a serious problem even before examining the details, because a true revelation should not require validation from anything outside itself. When Allah in the Quran says to Muhammad, "If you are in doubt about what we have revealed to you, then ask those who read the scripture before you," this command opens a consequence that cannot be avoided. The Quran does not place itself as the highest judge of truth. Muhammad is not told to consult the Quran, nor to rely on personal inspiration, nor to seek guidance from his companions, nor from any Islamic authority. He is directed to a community that, according to modern Islamic claims, supposedly possessed corrupted scriptures. Yet at the moment this verse was revealed, the Quran viewed them as legitimate holders of divine truth. This is where the great paradox emerges. If the scriptures of the people of the book were already corrupted in Muhammad's time, then this divine command is not merely mistaken, it becomes impossible to obey. An all-knowing God would never instruct his final prophet to verify a revelation by referring to texts that had been falsified. Worse still, if their scriptures were indeed corrupted, then the Quran's instruction amounts to asking a prophet to confirm divine truth through a false source. That would portray God as unaware of the condition of the Torah and the Gospel, or aware, but still issuing a flawed command. Either scenario undermines his divine perfection within Islamic theology. But if Muslims choose the other option, that the Torah and Gospel were still authentic in Muhammad's time, the consequences are even more devastating. For if those scriptures were indeed valid, as Ibn Kathir and the classical commentators insist, then the Quran must submit to their judgment. The Torah and the Gospel become the measuring rod, and the Quran becomes the text on trial. And when those scriptures are tested against the teachings of the Qur'an, the results leave Islam with no safe ground. The Torah and the Gospel never foretell the coming of an Arabian prophet, never present a final book resembling the Qur'an, and instead proclaim Jesus as Lord, not merely a human messenger. Even more striking, the Gospel explicitly teaches the death and resurrection of Christ, precisely the doctrine the Qur'an denies.
So with this being said, right, when it says, go to the people of the book, right, who are reading the scripture before you, if you are in doubt, right? So basically, the verifier of Muhammad's prophethood and the Quran is the old scriptures. So that means that it's the old scriptures that's the judge on whether the Quran is true or not, right?
Yes. Judge if Muhammad is a true prophet according to the Jews and Christians, yes.
No, not according to Jews and Christians.
Because that's the binding scripture.
All right, we'll do this again. It says, if you're in doubt about that which we have revealed to you, which is the Quran, right? Okay. If you're in doubt about the Quran, then go check the scriptures.
Sure.
Right? So if Muhammad goes and checks the scriptures, he sees that he lines up with it, he'll know that the Quran is good and he has no reason to doubt, right?
Sure.
Okay.
But it's impossible for him to be done.
No worries. Just going with the hypothetical.
That's literally
I got you.
important to the premise.
I don't think so. We're going with the hypothetical. Look, it's not Allah gave this hypothetical, not me.
Sure.
All right? So I'm going with what Allah gave us. Okay? So Allah gave us a hypothetical. If Muhammad's in doubt, go check the previous scriptures.
Sure.
So Muhammad can go check the previous scriptures, find himself in there,
correct,
and he'll know that he has no reason to doubt the Quran, right?
That's impossible hypothetical, but yeah, sure.
But yes, okay. Now, if Muhammad goes to the previous scriptures and finds out he's not in line with them, then he'll know that the Quran is false and he has good reason to doubt the Quran, right?
Sure.
Okay. So then therefore the judge of truth, according to this scenario, is it the Quran or is it the previous scriptures?
The prophetic messages in the Bible.
So
whatever prophesied about Muhammad. If it's there, then yes.
Okay, so if it's there, then it's good. Then the Quran's good. If it's not there, the Quran's false.
Sure, yes.
So it's the Bible that's the judge over the Quran, right?
Yeah. So if the Bible doesn't prophesy Muhammad, Islam is false.
Good. Sure. So then the judge is the Bible.
In the sense that the prophetic message is not the entire Bible.
Well, it is.
I'm not granting that because the prophetic material is in the Bible, that this must mean that we must holistically confirm the scriptures. I'm saying that we specifically appeal to the prophetic elements found in the biblical scriptures.
Okay.
Not everything.
Okay, sure. All right, no worries. Okay, so this is what I need you to do. Okay. So we agreed that according to Muhammad's prophethood, right? That it's the Bible that's the judge on whether Muhammad's a true or false prophet. It's not the Quran.
To those binding
the sign of the
no, to you too.
No, Listen.
I'm gonna join this guy.
Listen. The prophet, there's no doubt he is a prophet. What I'm saying is, the sign is for the Jew and the Christian to look at their scripture and to look for him. I'm talking to you.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Prophet Muhammad, he is the true prophet and the last prophet of God. And he knows that. While the Christian and the Jew, they need to do their scripture and see if the sign of the prophet are found in their religion. And I have for you a lot of references in the Bible talk about
Okay, so when it comes to Muhammad and his prophethood, the judge is the Bible. It's going back to the older scriptures. So, and you said specifically about Muhammad being mentioned in there.
Correct.
If he's not mentioned in there, it's false. So what I would want is an example of Jesus mentioning Muhammad.
The belief that Muhammad was foretold in the Bible is one of the most frequently repeated claims in Islamic tradition, yet it becomes a fragile point under academic scrutiny of the Qur'an. When the Quranic text is examined closely, one thing stands out immediately. There is no specific quotation from the Torah or the Gospel to support this claim. The Quran never identifies a chapter, a verse, or any precise passage from the earlier scriptures as direct evidence. Instead, it uses vague expressions, suggesting that the people before Muhammad knew him or had indications about him, without ever showing where those indications are found. And that's what makes this so striking, because the Quran has no trouble giving detailed, vivid accounts of Moses, Pharaoh, Abraham, or Noah. It speaks freely and richly about their stories, yet suddenly becomes silent here. But when it comes to the subject of a supposed prophecy of Muhammad, those details are completely absent. To understand this absence, the Quran must be placed within the historical landscape of the late Byzantine world. In the 6th and early 7th centuries, the Middle East was filled with theological tensions among minority Christian groups who rejected the official doctrines of the major councils. Within this climate of polemic, popular ideas circulated about a coming figure who would restore pure monotheism, an idea not rooted in the biblical text, but in oral traditions and eschatological hopes spread through marginal communities. As Arabs interacted with Jewish and Judeo-Christian groups speaking Syriac along the Arabia-Syria trade routes, they did not receive canonical scriptures. They absorbed stories, summaries, and religious speculations transmitted orally. This is where the Quranic pattern becomes unmistakable. The Quran seems to inherit an oral assumption that the people of the book ought to recognize the final prophet, rather than a knowledge based on the actual written texts of their scriptures. This is why the Quran expresses such confidence that Muhammad was foretold in the Torah and the Gospel, yet never produces the literal citation. Modern scholars, such as Crone, Reynolds, Griffith, and Luxemburg, have shown that the Quran's understanding of Jews and Christians aligns more closely with the beliefs of peripheral sectarian groups than with the content of the canonical manuscripts themselves. The absence of any specific biblical verse in the Quran regarding Muhammad's prophecy is not an oversight. It is a historical indicator that the claim does not originate from the biblical text. Instead, it arises from oral traditions that were assumed to be true without textual verification. Over time, that assumption solidified into Islamic doctrine, even though no identifiable biblical chapter or verse ever explicitly supports it.